Experts in every form of manufacturing, the Ymir conglomerate boasts the greatest concentration of superb technologies anywhere in the galactic core, and their weapons of war are second to none. In this video, we're going to show you how to paint a Hearthkin warrior to a battle-ready standard in the scheme of the Ymir conglomerate. Now, the first thing we need to do is undercoat the model, and to do this, we've chosen to use Mephiston Red. After that, we'll begin our base coats, starting off with Mephiston Red for the red armour, Stegodon Scale Green for the undersuit, and then finally Thondia Brown for those brown leather areas. So let's get some Mephiston Red onto the palette here. Thin it down with a touch of water, and roll your brush up to a point. Then we're going to be applying that all over those red armour areas. We're doing this because it has a slightly different finish to the spray paint, and it will just help if we need to tidy up later. With that done, we're now going to use Stegodon Scale Green on the undersuit. You might want to build this up with a couple of thin layers. With the blue done, we're now going to use Thondia Brown to pick out all of those brown leather areas. Be as neat as you can, but if you do make any mistakes, you can always tidy back up after. And with those first three stages done, we can now move on. So first of all, we're going to use Abaddon Black to block in the black areas, then we're going to use Lead Belcher for the metallics, and then Fenrisian Grey for those lighter blue-grey details. So let's get some Abaddon Black here onto the palette. Thin it down with some water. A little bit more water there. There we go. Then we're going to block in all those black areas. With all the black areas picked out, we're now going to use Lead Belcher on all the metallic areas. Remember, once you've finished using metallics, it's a good idea to change your paint water to avoid any metallic flakes getting into your non-metallic paints. The next thing we're going to do is use Fenrisian Grey on some of those smaller details. So this is places like the light here, the visor, and also some of the other little screens and dials. And with the base coats done, we can now move on to applying some shades and contrast. So we're going to use Basilicanum Grey thinned down with contrast medium first, and that will go over most of the model. Then we'll use Agrax Earthshade for those brown areas, followed by Frostheart thinned down with contrast medium for those light blue-grey areas. So let's take 1 part medium onto the palette here. Rinse off the brush, make sure to dry it as well, and then 1 part Basilicanum Grey and mix all of that together there. Now make sure not to overload your brush, so just take some off there. Roll your brush up to a point. And as we said, we're going to be applying that over most of the darker areas of the model. This includes the blue and the metallic areas and the black areas. We'll also be using this as a recess shade for the red armour. We use recess shading to create depth on the model without changing the overall tone of a large flat surface. So we just run it into the deepest recesses of the miniature. Once that's all done, we're going to use Agrax Earthshade to shade all the brown areas. Next, we're using Frostheart on those light blue-grey areas, and we've thinned this down with 1 part contrast medium. And with that complete, we can now move on to the base. So for this, we're going to use Astro Granite all over the base. Then we're going to apply Basilicanum Grey over the top of that. So using my texture tool, I'm going to use the large end and scoop out some Astro Granite there. And we're going to apply that carefully all over the base. Let's get some more. After leaving the Astro Granite to dry for about an hour, we're now going to apply Basilicanum Grey all over it. This will just help to create some depth on the base. And with that stage complete, our Hearthkin warrior is now battle ready. The only thing left to do is to paint the rim of the base in a colour that matches the rest of your army. In this case, we've chosen to use Abaddon Black. And now our Halfkin warrior is ready to continue his expert craftsmanship, developing marvels of technology alongside his kindred. So there's just a couple of things to remember when you're painting this model. When you're base coating, try and be as neat as possible, as this will provide a better end result. However, don't worry, if you do make any mistakes, you can always tidy back up after. Also, when using shades and contrast, be careful not to overload your brush, as it can quickly run out of control on the miniature. However, if this does happen, just clean off your brush and use it to soak up the excess. Well, that's the end of the video. We hope you've enjoyed watching, and we hope you have great fun painting your own miniatures. We'll see you in the next one. Bye!